I said earlier that the most important single determinant of happiness, optimism, and a positive mental attitude is your level of self-esteem. It is how much you like yourself. How much you like yourself determines how much you like others and how much they like you. The more you like yourself, the better you do. And the better you do, the more you like yourself. Everyone else is just the same. Their level of health and happiness is determined by how much they like themselves. And how much they like you is determined by how much you make them feel valuable. Every time you do or say anything to another or about another that raises their self-esteem, you increase the quality of their personality, the depth of their loyalty, and their likelihood of working cooperatively with you to achieve your mutual goals. Mary Kay Ash, the founder of Mary Kay Cosmetics, the largest single employer of women earning more than $50,000 a year, summed up her philosophy toward life and business in a single principle. She said that everyone you meet has a sign around their neck that says, "Make me feel important." Whoever you speak to, and under any circumstances, look for ways to answer their basic request. Make me feel important. The key to great relationships is just that. Make others feel important. And the good news is that everything you do to make others feel important and valuable causes you to feel important and valuable yourself. Every time you raise someone else's self-esteem, your own self-esteem goes up as well. Unfortunately, the opposite is also true. Every time you do or say anything that hurts somebody else in any way that lowers their self-esteem, it hurts you and lowers your self-esteem. The law of sowing and reaping is unavoidable. You always get back what you put out. So, be careful. There are 7 steps, 7 behaviors that you can engage in to raise the self-esteem of other people, to improve your relationships, to increase others' propensity to cooperate with you, and to put your life and career into the fast lane. The first behavior, which begins with an A, is acceptance. Psychologists have shown that the very first thing that takes place when two people meet is that they express acceptance or non-acceptance of each other. Until a level of acceptance is established, like two dogs sniffing at each other, conversation is limited and a personal relationship does not develop. And how do you express acceptance of another? Simple. You smile whenever you meet or greet a person, either for the first time or for the 100th time. It takes 30 facial muscles to frown, but only 13 facial muscles to smile. When you smile, you actually trigger endorphins in your brain and create a feeling of well-being in your body. When you smile at another person, you make them feel important. You make them feel accepted and attractive. When you smile at another person, their self-esteem and sense of personal value goes up. A deep, genuine, warm smile actually affects people at an unconscious level. Children are especially affected by warm, loving smiles accompanied by direct eye contact and complete focus. When you look into the eyes of a child or someone you care about and tell them that you love them, with a warm smile on your face and a kind look in your eyes, they will often feel it throughout their entire bodies. When people meet and fall in love for the first time, they look at each other and smile all the time as an expression of love. We are conditioned from infancy to respond in a very positive way when someone looks directly at us and smiles. Be sure that you smile at others on every occasion. You've heard it said that if you meet a person without a smile, give them one of yours. The second behavior, which also starts with an A, is appreciation. Develop an attitude of gratitude toward all the good things in your life. The rule is that the more things that you are grateful for, the more things you will have to be grateful for. Perhaps the greatest cause of sorrow and unhappiness is ingratitude for your life, for the things that others do for you, for the simple joys and pleasures of each day. The healthiest and happiest people are people who seem to have a generalized attitude of gratitude toward the good things in their life, and they ignore most of the other things. And how do you express gratitude? You use the words thank you on a regular basis. The words thank you are some of the most powerful words in any language. I have traveled in more than 80 countries, and the very first words I ever learned going across the border were the words please and thank you. Say thank you to everyone for anything they do for you, large and small. The words thank you are the hallmark of the truly pleasant, kindly, courteous, and gracious human being. As Thomas Carlyle wrote, you can tell big people by the way they treat little people. Say thank you to everyone you deal with every day. Say thank you for everything that anyone in your company ever does for you. Say thank you to your customers when they agree to speak with you or meet with you. Say thank you when they buy from you. Say thank you to people, even people who work for you and who provide you with services for which you pay. Sometimes a sincere expression of gratitude is worth as much, if not more, than the money. Every time you say thank you, you feel better about yourself, and you make the other person feel better about himself or herself. Every time you say thank you, you feel positive, optimistic, and friendly. The combination of smiling and saying thank you for both large and small actions makes you a far more likable and pleasant person. The third behavior, starting with an A, is admiration. Continue to look for ways to express your admiration of the qualities, possessions, or accomplishments of other people. Remember, everything that a person has in their life, they have usually invested time and emotion in either becoming or acquiring. When you recognize what they have achieved and admire them for it, their self-esteem goes straight up. They feel more important and valuable. They like themselves more, and they like you more as a result of your noticing it. Admire people for their qualities, for their punctuality, their dependability, their cheerfulness, persistence, courage, intelligence, or creativity. If you want to have a marvelous impact on your children or your family, constantly point out how much you admire their expressions of any quality that is worthwhile. When my children paint a picture, for example, I always make a big deal about how creative they are. When they get a good grade, I make a big thing about how intelligent they are. When they help out at home, I mention in a loud voice how helpful and how good they are. Does this have an impact on the way they think about themselves and an impact on their future behaviors? You bet it does. Admire people's possessions both at home and at the office. Admire their trophies, their diplomas, their certificates, their pictures of members of their family. When you go to a person's home, admire not only the home, but the furniture, the artwork, the layout, the garden, the carpet, the kitchen, and everything else that you genuinely respect. People always feel flattered and happy when people notice things that they have taken a good deal of time to acquire and locate or place in their home or office. Especially admire people's accomplishments. Admire their prizes, their sales, their new homes, any accomplishment that they have made or have achieved that has required a certain amount of time, energy, and determination. Remember, one of the primary reasons that people accomplish anything is so that they will earn the admiration and respect of others. When you give this admiration and respect openly and generously, people feel wonderful about themselves and wonderful about you at the same time. The fourth behavior, or fourth A, is approval. Approval, or praise, is perhaps the best and fastest self-esteem building behavior you can practice. In fact, one of the definitions of self-esteem is the degree to which a person feels praiseworthy. Young children praised by their teachers or parents demonstrate an immediate increase in energy and happiness. Praise to people is like sunshine and rain to flowers. It causes them to grow and bloom. Praise causes people to feel important and valuable. Praise causes people's self-esteem to immediately increase. They like themselves more, virtually instantaneously, and they automatically like you more as well. The keys to giving effective praise are simple. First of all, praise for both small and large efforts. Praise for achievement as well as for efforts that may not have been successful but which were well executed. Praise in public, in front of other people whenever possible. Praise delivered in front of others has twice the impact of praise delivered in private. Accompany praise with rewards whenever you can. These rewards can be tangible, such as money or gifts or prizes, or they can be intangible, such as a larger desk or office, additional training or additional responsibilities, and even time off. Praise accompanied by rewards multiplies the impact of the words and has an even more powerful positive impact on the person's self-esteem and sense of personal value. Another key to praise is to praise immediately, rather than waiting a day, a week, or a month after the event. The more immediate the praise, the more impact it has on a person's personality and behavior. Praise specifically. Rather than saying, "You are doing a great job," say instead, "You did an excellent job on that report that we sent out to the ABC company yesterday." The more specific your praise, the more likely it is that the person will do more of the specific things you praise them for. Another key is to praise continuously, especially when you want a person to develop a good habit. Praise them every single time they do something well, until, like the Pavlovian experiment with the dog, whenever they think of the activity, they do it well automatically, because they associate the successful activity with praise and approval and feeling good about themselves as a result. Combine your praise with smiling, gratitude, and admiration, and you'll be amazed at the positive effect you have on other people. The fifth A stands for attention, and this is one of the most powerful behaviors for building high performance in other people. By attention, of course, we mean listening. Listening intently to other people brings trust faster and more predictably than any other behavior. Listening has such a positive effect on the self-esteem of other people that it has often been called white magic. There are 4 keys to excellent listening. First, listen attentively. Listen without interruptions. Face the person directly. Lean forward, nod, smile, and agree. Listen as though you had all the time in the world and that what the other person is saying is totally fascinating. Make no effort or motion to interrupt what the person is saying. There's nothing more flattering than being listened to attentively by another person. And there is nothing that builds higher levels of trust and self-esteem than the fact that someone listens to you very carefully and intently. The second key to listening is for you to pause before replying. When the person finishes talking or hesitates, wait 3 to 5 seconds before you say anything. Often the other person is just organizing their thoughts. When you pause before replying, you actually hear the other person better. What they have just said soaks into a deeper level of your mind, and you actually get the message that is between the lines. Remember, only 7% of the message that another person is trying to convey to you is captured in the words. The other 93% is in the tone of voice and the body language. When you pause before replying, you get the total message, rather than just the superficial part of the message contained in the words. The third key to effective listening is for you to question for clarification. Never assume that you know what the other person really means or is trying to say. Instead, when the other person stops talking, pause and then ask, "How do you mean?" This question, "How do you mean?" is the all-purpose reply to virtually anything that another person could say. It is also impossible not to answer. When you ask, "How do you mean?" the other person will almost invariably answer you with an extended version of what they have just said. Remember, the person who asks questions has control. When you listen attentively, pause before replying, and then question for clarification, not only do you build high levels of rapport and trust, but you largely control the conversation. You assure that you fully understand what the other person is really saying before you reply. The fourth key to excellent listening, to the behavior of attention, is for you to feed back what the person has just said in your own words. Paraphrase their thoughts and reflect them back as accurately as you can. Say something like, "Well, let me make sure I understand what you're saying. According to what you just said, you want more of this and less of that, and you're concerned about this. Is that correct?" It is only when the other person can reply and say, "Yes, that's it, you got it," that you can make an intelligent and timely reply. Even when a person is being disagreeable, practice your listening skills. If someone is upset with you for any reason, practice listening. Instead of replying or defending, instead you listen intently, pause and carefully consider before replying, question for clarification by saying, "How do you mean?" and then paraphrase it in your own words to assure the other person that you really understand what they're trying to say. The sixth behavior, which also starts with an A, that is essential for building high-quality relationships, is for you to be agreeable. Never tell a person that he or she is wrong. Be open, accepting, and agreeable, no matter what the other person says. Refuse to argue or dispute the other person's position. Just be agreeable. Most issues are not that important, so if you can, just let it go. Whenever you disagree with another person, you are telling that other person that he or she is wrong. You make them feel angry or defensive. If you tell a person that their point of view or opinion is wrong, you are implying that they are wrong as a person. This immediately kicks the chair out from under their self-esteem. Since everything we do in life is either to protect our self-esteem or to enhance it, when you threaten a person's self-esteem, they will often react badly. Many friendships and relationships have been undermined and even destroyed by the suggestion from one person to another that the individual is wrong. From then on, the person is more concerned about being right than anything else. Ego is a terrible thing. Once you get your ego involved, or you get the ego of someone else involved, it's like a brush fire that can very quickly get out of control. And by disagreeing with others and telling them that they are wrong, you almost always trigger a negative response. So just be an agreeable kind of person. Finally, the seventh behavior is for you to be positive in every situation. Refuse to criticize, condemn, or complain. Instead, be cheerful, be kindly, friendly, and open. Practice the skills of optimism. Whenever something goes wrong, look for the good. Look for the valuable lesson in every setback or obstacle. Think about the future and where you're going, rather than the difficult situation and where you've been. Above all, get your mind focused on the solution. This instantly enables you to take emotional control over yourself and the situation. You cannot think and talk about solutions to a particular problem without becoming more positive and creative. And the more you think about solutions, the more solutions you find, and the faster you find them. Become an expert in relationship management. Ask yourself regularly, do I want to be right, or do I want to be happy? Imagine that relationships in life are flowers, and you are a gardener. Continually go through your garden of life, collecting more flowers, more relationships in everything you do. Simultaneously, continue to nurture the relationships that you have. All your happiness, all your success, everything you accomplish in life, both personally and in your business, will be determined by the quality and quantity of relationships that you build and maintain. Keep adding to them every day. Let me conclude with this final point. You are living today in the best time, in the best place in all of human history. And you are one of the best people, with an incredible amount of talent, ability, creativity, and intelligence that you can tap into and develop to accomplish anything you really want in life. Remember, your very best days, your very best weeks, your very best months and years lie ahead of you. Your happiest experiences are yet to come. Your greatest accomplishments lie in the future. Your happiest moments are yet to be experienced. You are living in the golden age of mankind, and there are no limits to what you can accomplish if you will just practice the ideas you have learned in this program over and over again until you make them a part of your life. Decide today exactly what you want. Write it down, make a plan, and work on it every day. Remember that everything in life is a test, and the only question you ask when you face any problem or difficulty, or when you set any goal for yourself, is the question, how? And failure is not an option. This is Brian Tracy, and thank you for listening.
This is the end of Side B. Please fast forward the tape to the end to cue up Side A for your next listening.
Everything in life is relationships. 85% of everything that you accomplish, everything that you become, all your hopes and dreams and achievements will be determined by your relationships, by how well you get along with other people. There's a basic rule of success that says your success will be in direct proportion to the number of people you know and who know you in a favorable way. The most successful people in any field are those who know the most people in that field and who are known in a positive way to the most other people. The very fact that somebody knows you or that you know someone else makes it much more likely that you will do things with that person and work together for mutual benefit. You cannot know too many people, and you cannot know too many people in an excellent way. Daniel Goleman's work at Harvard in the area of emotional intelligence, which we talked about before, also concludes that fully 85% of your success in your work will be determined by your relationships. Of course, this is also true in your personal life as well. On the other hand, fully 85% of all your problems in life will be caused by difficulties with other people. One bad relationship in your life, personal or business, can have a negative effect on everything else that you do and on all your thinking and emotions. We talked earlier about the qualities of leadership and the importance of integrity as the glue that holds your relationships together. Francis Fukuyama wrote a book a couple of years ago called Trust. In this book, he studied the element of trust in human relationships, and especially in human societies worldwide. What he found was that high-trust societies were also prosperous, high-growth societies. The element of trust manifested in people's confidence in the word, the agreements, and the contracts with others was a cost of doing business. Where there was high trust, there was a much lower cost of building and expanding businesses and taking advantage of opportunities. Where there was low trust, however, a tremendous amount of time and expense was used up in protecting and guarding against being robbed or cheated. In your relationships, the element of trust is crucial as well. When you have a network of high-trust relationships with people who you know and trust and who know and trust you, your entire life flows more smoothly in everything you do. You will find over time that you are often doing business and interacting with people for 10, 20, and even 30 years on the basis of the quality of the relationships you have established with them. When you look back over your past, you will find that it was the high-quality relationships that were responsible for most of your success and happiness in life. It was the low-quality relationships, for whatever reason, that were the cause of most of your problems, most of your unhappiness, and both financial and emotional losses. In Selling Today, as Theodore Levitt of the Harvard Business School said, everything is relationships. All sales are based on relationships. All selling is relationship selling. The building and maintaining of high-quality business relationships is the foundation upon which a business or career is built. I'm working today with people in deals involving hundreds of thousands and millions of dollars with whom I've been associated for as long as 25 years. These relationships, business deals, and business opportunities go around and around like a merry-go-round in life. Everything you do seems to come back to you in some way, very much as the law of sowing and reaping would predict. As they say, what goes around comes around. In sales and in business, the level of trust that your customers, your colleagues, and your co-workers have in you will largely determine how much you earn, how far you go, and how fast you're promoted. The keys to great success in life are explained by words like acceleration, leverage, multiplication, return on energy, economic or market value added, and return on investment. Every one of these concepts is directly applicable to the relationships you build and maintain throughout your lifetime. The more and better people you know, the better reputation you have for both integrity and quality work, the more rapidly you will move towards your goals. The greater leverage you will have in your business activities involving others. The easier it will be for you to multiply yourself times the ideas, knowledge, energy, and money of others. The more and better people who know you and trust you, the greater return you will get on the mental, emotional, and physical energy you invest in your life and in your relationships. You will get a higher return on the investment of your time and money, and you will have more and better opportunities to invest them. Perhaps the greatest economic and market value you can bring to any situation is your complex network of relationships with other skilled and talented people whose energies you can bring to bear to accomplish a goal for which others will pay. In Thomas Stewart's book, Intellectual Capital, he talks about the 3 forms of intellectual capital that a person can possess in business. The first is a general level of knowledge and skill, a foundation of core competencies that enable a person to read, write, speak, make presentations, and generally do the job they're hired to do. The second form of intellectual capital is knowledge of the company's products, processes, systems, and methods of doing business in the marketplace. This is sometimes the most valuable asset that a company has, their knowledge of how to do their business better than their competitors. But the third form of intellectual capital, perhaps the most valuable, is the specific knowledge of the people and personalities, both inside and outside the company, especially the primary customers and suppliers of the company that make a person so valuable. Every single person who is highly respected and doing well in an organization has developed their intellectual capital to a high point, especially their intimate knowledge of the specific individuals in the world in and around the business whose decisions and actions can have a major effect on the success of the business. Many companies today will pay a person more money rather than lose them just because that person has intellectual capital that the business would find very expensive to replace if that person were lost. The most important intellectual capital you have is always contained in the quality, quantity, and depth of the relationships that you develop with the key people who can have an effect on your life and on your business. Your job is to continually grow this number of relationships and then invest regularly in keeping these relationships alive and increasing in value. In the studies at Stanford University on the evolution of the chief executive officer, they found that teamwork was the most important observable quality that a person could practice if he or she wanted to move up rapidly in the organization. Many large companies followed their executives from the time they were hired fresh out of school for as long as 30 years, observing the turning points in their careers that led them to the top of their organizations. In every case, it was the ability to work well with other people to get valuable, important, and timely results to the company that counted the most. When these senior executives were young, they worked well as part of a team. They volunteered for assignments. They did their jobs in a timely fashion. They worked overtime to make sure that they carried their share, and more besides. They did their work well. They earned the esteem and respect of their other team members, and especially the manager or executive in charge of the team. When new people were being selected for a new team, they eventually found themselves at the top of the list. They got even more and greater responsibilities, each of which they carried out quickly and well. Eventually, they developed a reputation of being the kind of people that, if you wanted the job done quickly, you turned it over to them. If you have a complex job, be sure to get that person on your team. In time, they became team leaders themselves. As team leaders, they demonstrated a wonderful ability to coordinate the activities of many other people to get the job done and to get the results that were important to the company. There have been a number of studies on what are called Machiavellians in management. These are people who are extremely adept politically. They play one person against another. They are always looking for an angle. They are usually too clever by half. They attempt to move up, not by excellent performance and good teamwork, but by playing games and taking credit for the work of others. The studies on these types of people are both interesting and conclusive. They show that the game players in every organization do tend to move up faster initially in their careers. They tend to be promoted faster and paid more at an earlier stage than the solid people who are focusing on doing a good job. But the career curve of the Machiavellians is different. It shows that they rise quickly and then they flatten out in their careers and then they begin to decline. At a certain point, everyone eventually knows them for who they are. People who can talk and manipulate well, but who are not particularly good at doing their jobs. When the company or the economy changes, they are the first people who are laid off or fired. On the other hand, the solid people like yourself, the ones who do a good job and who work well with others on a regular basis, may rise a little bit slower than the Machiavellians initially, but they rise steadily. At each stage of their careers, they build a network of people below them, around them, and above them who want them to succeed. These people help them and support them and do everything possible to open doors for them. The people they have worked with as they move up form a solid foundation, and they help them to continue their climb. Their co-workers and colleagues help them as well, and especially their superiors are pulling them up from the top because they recognize that these are the people who can make the greatest long-term contribution to the organization. We said before that the most important determinant of financial success is your ability to create wealth and add value. It is your ability to make a valuable contribution wherever you are. When you focus all of your energies on getting results, on making the most important contribution you possibly can, and simultaneously working well with other people, you will put yourself onto an upward escalator that moves you steadily and predictably higher and higher. Today, as companies go through turbulence involving re-engineering, downsizing, outsourcing, layoffs, and firings, it's the positive, pleasant, helpful people who are the ones who are valued the most highly, while the more competent but abrasive people are the ones who are let go the most readily. One of the keys to great success in your field, to accelerating your progress and leveraging your talents, is for you to network with other valuable people in your field. I have spoken at countless meetings for organizations and associations over the years. In every case, it is the best and most important people in the industry who are at the meetings. The average or mediocre people always have a reason or an excuse not to go. They are always too busy or they can't afford it. But the best people are always there. The best people are always up front, taking notes and interacting with the speakers and the other best people. The best people are always involved in the various committees that exist in every voluntary association. They're always looking for ways to make a contribution and to help others to be more successful. As we said before, fully 85% of the job market is invisible. The jobs and positions, especially the highest paying and most important positions, are not published anywhere. They exist within the minds and the private conversations of the key people who make these hiring and promotion decisions. I took over a $265 million company some years ago, and I was tasked with the responsibility of reorganizing the company and taking control of about $100 million worth of business and projects that the company was involved in. The very first thing I did was to fire about 80% of the people, most of whom were making little or no contribution and who could not be saved or turned around. Then I had to staff up the entire organization, hiring people at all levels, from a senior vice president of finance all the way down to my own personal secretary. The interesting thing was that I had a lot of contacts in the community, and fully 80% of all the people that I hired were sent to me by other people I had gotten to know over the years. I only hired 1 or 2 people as the result of advertisements or personnel agencies. All the rest were put into place because of my reputation with other people and because of their reputations with the same people that I eventually hired. In less than 3 months, my company was fully staffed with competent people at all levels. When you join an association of any kind, don't merely attend the meetings and sit in the audience. Instead, offer to help. Take a look at the various committees and look at the people who sit on those committees. Select a committee or more than one committee that has people on it that you would like to get to know and who should get to know you. Then, volunteer for service on that committee. When you get onto the committee, which is not hard to do, Throw your whole heart into voluntary activities and to helping that committee achieve its goals for the organization. There's no faster way for you to bring yourself to the attention of the key people in your industry than by performing on a voluntary committee where people are functioning very much as equals. You see, no one has any control or authority over anyone else because everyone is a volunteer. This enables you to deal on the same level with people who may be far beyond you in terms of rank and position in their own companies. Some years ago, I was asked if I would take responsibility for training the volunteer staff of the United Way campaign. Even though it was a job that paid nothing, I recognized it as an opportunity to work with the other senior executives from the community who had been selected to head up the campaign for that year. Within 60 days, I was meeting regularly with about 20 of the top business executives in the community, people who controlled hundreds of millions of dollars worth of economic activities on a regular basis. For the next 5 years, I was doing business with some of those people. Either they were calling me with a particular training or consulting need, or I was calling them and they were taking my phone calls immediately. It is absolutely amazing how quickly you can jump the line in life by getting involved with other key people on a voluntary basis in a political, religious, social, or professional association. The business author John Cotter wrote a book some years ago called Power and Influence Beyond Formal Authority. After years of research, he determined that the most powerful and influential people in any group are the people who can call on the greatest number of other people for favors. He said that power and influence did not come from having a position and having subordinates to whom you could give orders. True power and influence, he found, came from being able to call on people over whom you had no control at all. What he found was that the most powerful and influential people in any community or association were the ones who had gone out of their way to do the greatest number of favors for other people. They were willing to sow before reaping, knowing that since this is a natural law, the reaping would flow naturally in the fullness of time. And it always did. The more you give of yourself with no expectation of return, the more that it will come back to you in the most unexpected ways. The great rule of success in business is that your success will be in direct proportion to what you do after you do what you're expected to do. If all you ever do is what you're expected to do, all you'll ever get is what you're getting today. Truly successful people are always doing more than is expected of them. They are always going the extra mile. They're always doing more than they're paid for. They're always looking for ways to put more in, knowing that the harvest, the getting out, will take care of itself. Sometimes I ask my audience, how many people here are in customer service? Usually only 10 or 15% of people raise their hand. Really, I say, let me ask that question again. How many people here are really in customer service? Eventually, one by one, they raise their hands. The truth of the matter is that just as we are all in sales in some way, we are all in customer service as well. Service to others is the integrating principle that explains all of life. Everything we do in our lives is associated somehow with serving other people in some way. The people who live in the big houses on the hills are people who are serving the greatest number of people with things that they want and need to enrich their lives and work. The people who live in little houses or apartments, drive older cars, and worry about money are people who are not serving others at a very high level. You always get out what you put in. If you want to increase the quality and quantity of your rewards, you have to increase the quality and quantity of your service, of the amount that you are putting in. You are always paid in direct proportion to the value of your service to others. If you want to increase your rewards, you must increase the value of your service to other people. One of the most important things you do in your career is to identify your most important customers. Your most important customers are the people whose actions can have a positive or negative effect on your goals, on your happiness, on your financial and non-financial rewards. Everyone in your life is a customer in some way. The members of your family are your customers. If you don't give them a minimum level of attention and satisfaction and occasional moments of delight, you are going to have serious problems in your family life. Your boss is your primary customer at work. His level of happiness or unhappiness with you largely determines your success or failure in your career. Your co-workers and colleagues, the people who depend on you and on whom you depend, are also your customers. Their support or withdrawal of support can have a major impact on how far you go and how fast you rise. If you're a manager, your staff members, your employees are key customers. The very best managers and the very best companies are those who treat the employees exactly the way they want the employees to treat the customers. You can always tell a good company by the way the people treat you when you deal with that company. You can always tell a company that is in trouble when you receive poor service from the staff. In every case, the active support or passive resistance of your staff can make or break you as a manager. And this happens to and for managers every single day. The good news is that because you are a person as well, you have inside information on how to build and maintain high-quality relationships with other people. All you have to do is treat others the way you would like to be treated, the golden rule. Now, there may be a better principle for happy, harmonious human relationships, but it has not yet been found. It is simply and always do unto others as you would have them do unto you.